The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Onyx Fantasy. Win up to 325 times your original amount with their new Pick 8. So the promo code MLB SGPN. They'll claim a special Pick 8 first deposit offer up to $2 in bonus cash on Onyx Fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Sunday afternoon, roughly 5 p.m. Eastern Time on July 7th. I'm your host for this episode, Scott Reichel, once again joined by Lonte Smith. And together, we're going to break down the 7-game slate for Monday. Lonte, how's it going with you? How's your weekend been?
Pretty good, man. It's been a pretty good weekend. Just hoping we can keep that momentum going into the week. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I hope you had a good weekend as well as the listeners.
Yeah, I know we did the show for Saturday's games. I ended up winning the lock. I had the Mets, ended up losing the dog. I had the Astros first 5. That didn't work out as Brown got destroyed. I know you ended up winning your home run prop. You had Pascatino, who ended up having a home run against the Rockies. I think that was plus 420, I think, for the odds.
Yeah, around that 4-1 range, yeah.
Yeah, either way, so definitely a nice hit by you. I forgot who you had for the lock and dog, but you had a home run.
I had Dodgers lock, which that won. Had Marlins dog, they won. So yeah, pretty nice sweep for the Saturday show. But hey, that's behind us. Time to move on and get to some more.
Yep, I know. As for today, not the greatest start for me today. Had a pretty upsetting second half of that Astros game because I had the over. And they had like 4 runs. They had 4 runs immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I expected Jordan to potentially not play going in because he was battling he got hit by a pitch yesterday, so I thought he might end up getting the day off. I didn't think Miranda would sit. He ended up sitting that he pinch hit for a single because he's Miranda. He gets a hit every time he's up.
Yeah, 12 straight, right?
12 straight at bats, tied the all-time record.
Yep.
I can't believe that 3 other people have done that before. That sounds almost impossible.
Right.
But either way, point is Miranda had 12 straight hits. That ended yesterday. Then he had a pinch hit single today. Arrighetti was okay. Woods Richardson was fine, but for the most part, you ended up seeing a pretty underwhelming back half of that game for us because we had the over, and then you ended up seeing Hader blow it immediately in the 9th inning. How do you give up a homer to Christian Vasquez? I have no idea, but that was a walk-off home run there. So Astros picked up a loss. Besides that, nothing else to really add. I know Texas right now is burying the Rays. Royals are up 7-1 in Colorado. Baltimore is finally remembering they're playing Oakland, and they're up 5-0. Basically, that's it. Mets won earlier today. I mentioned Minnesota. The Cardinals won today. Braves won 6-0 against the Phillies. Marlins won again today. Cleveland won again. Yeah, nothing else really that jumped off the page. Skubal, though, was incredible. I think he had 13 strikeouts today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he'd be my vote for the Cy Young. No offense to Lugo, but I would give it to Skubal, no hesitation. And he looked great once again. So, I don't know if you have any thoughts quickly on the Cy Young race, but I think Skubal should be the front runner, and I think he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I like Skubal a lot. Ironically, I was sadly for me, I was on the Reds today at the plus price, but just didn't get there.
I had one play on that game. I had done the number 9 hitter to not get a hit. He's batting about 50 as his batting average, so I ended up getting a nice minus 110 price on that.
Oh man,
that's hit for after 2 at bats. So
yeah,
that worked.
Outside of that, I thought Atlanta played really well this weekend against the Phillies, especially at the top of the rotation. They got Suarez and Nola, if I'm not mistaken. So got 2 good wins there. Outside of that, I think he pretty much covered everything else.
Yeah, Ranger regression is alive and well because he was not very good yesterday. Ben Rice for the Yankees had 3 home runs yesterday, which is kind of cool. So we'll see how that game goes Sunday night as the Yankees still have to take on the Red Sox. Either way, though, before we get into any of the games for Monday, once again, a bit of a smaller slate, only 7 games. So we do have some time to go through it. But I do want to remind you once again, before we end up starting the breakdown, that we have more episodes from the SGP Stories podcast, which is out on Patreon, and the guys do a forensics files style deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job. Also, check out the WNBA Gambling podcast with Terrell and I, as we've been doing well so far this season with the lock and dog picks. Still waiting on the dog. I have the Sparks later, but I did hit the lock already. Had the Dream Team total under that got there, so keep the locks rolling. But either way, once again, check out the WNBA show if you do want some basketball content over the next couple of months. Anyway, time to get into the actual card for Monday. Starting off with a couple of 4-game slates, the culmination of a couple of those. You have the Mets taking on the Pirates. The Mets did win the last 2 games, and you saw the Pirates laying minus 110 in the Monday game. You have the Mets at minus 105. You have Scott taking on Keller. We know Keller has been the better pitcher so far this season. Still not the biggest fan personally, but he has had a good year. I'll give him props there. For the over-under in this game, you have 8.5. Lonte, I'm going to ask you because we know that Keller is the better pitcher, but the Mets are the much better team. As far as I'm concerned, I know record-wise they're kind of close, but based on the last month or so, I think the Mets are the better team. I don't think it's that close. So I'm going to ask you, do you want to back Scott or do you want to back Keller?
I'm probably going to be on Keller here just simply because of the pitching. I mean, Keller's 2 earned runs or fewer in 7 of his last 10 starts. He did get shelled versus St. Louis in his last start, so I'm looking for a bit of a bounce back here. Scott's been up and down in his few starts, slightly better at home, 7 earned runs, then on the road, 9. He's got a low K rate. I know Pittsburgh's offense hasn't been that good, and that's putting it nicely. But the Mets have been struggling versus righties in their last 10. They're hitting under 200 in the last 10 versus righties, and I think Keller will have something for them. Now, I don't trust their offense at all. So what I'll do is I'll go first 5 like a full unit, and then I'll go half a unit on the full game, simply because I trust Keller over Scott. But in the end, we saw what the Mets offense is able to do in clutch situations. I mean, Lindor got that big 2, basically the game winning 2 RBI single late in the inning. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pittsburgh Pirates first 5. Lean to them full game. I wouldn't be mad at you for taking the under as well. I mean, Keller's been really good. 6 innings pitched, 6+ innings pitched in 8 of the last 10. 2 of his last 3 home starts, he's held the team scoreless. So I think he's in good form. So you can see maybe a first 5 under as well. But I like Pittsburgh first 5 the most. Lean to them full game.
Yeah, I feel like Keller should pitch fine in this matchup. The question is, do I think Scott can actually do anything? So far this season, 0-2 with a 4.32 ERA. Ended up not pitching since May and then pitched a couple days ago as he struggled against the Nationals. Gave up 4 earned in 5 2/3. Yeah, the issue is he really does not generate many swings and misses. So with that being the case, I do think that the Pirates can generate some contact against him. Maybe Reynolds takes some yard, maybe Cruz, but I think I'm going to agree with you. I think the Mets, though, might be able to rally in this game, so I'll take the first 5 instead. We saw the Pirates bullpen fall apart in the 9th inning today. The Mets did get Edwin Diaz back yesterday, so they do have a little bit more juice in the bullpen now. So I am going to go with the Pirates first 5 with you. I do think the Mets, though, can win the game, so I'll go with the Pirates first 5. Moving on to the next game, you have the Cardinals taking on the Nationals, another game 4 of the series. You have Mikolas taking on Parker. For this one, the Nationals are -115. The Cardinals are -105. The over-under in this matchup is set at around 9.5 or 9, depending on where you shop. For the matchup, though, I understand the Nationals have been okay lately, and I understand Mikolas this season has not been very good. The Nationals being favored, though, I find a little bit weird to me. Looking at Mikolas, he was really bad against the Reds 2 starts ago. Besides that, he's been fine. I feel like Mikolas is actually better than his ERA suggests because he was really bad for the first month or so of the season. And over the last couple months, besides that one bad start against Cincinnati, he's been okay. He's been serviceable. And I think that he can potentially pitch well here. He's a lot better on the road than at home. Parker's fine, but the Cardinals' offense has actually been pretty good lately. I think I'm going to lean to the Cardinals here, maybe the over in this game, but I really don't want to lay 115 with Washington. I think St. Louis is the better team.
Yeah, so you led me right into it. I like the over 9.5. 9 of the last 10 meetings between the two have went over. Both have been over in 6 of their last 10. Washington's offense has really picked up. You saw that on full display this weekend. They scored 6+ runs in 5 of their last 8. Mikolas, he hasn't been, he's been better, like you mentioned. 15 earned runs on 23 hits in his last 3 starts, though. So that's kind of concerning.
That was mostly one really bad outing.
Yeah. Just I think he had versus the Reds, like you mentioned, but. Yeah, and I think Parker, he's also been a bit erratic at times. 4+ runs allowed in 2 of his last 3. Had some home run issues. 5 home runs allowed in his last 3 starts. The thing is, St. Louis doesn't really hit lefties well. They're like under 220 versus lefties. But I think just the way the offense is going, you mentioned it, they've been going pretty well. I think this is set up for overseas. I think we both were on the over this weekend as well. I've been playing it over every chance I get on these 2 teams, and it's been paying dividends. So I think both offenses will be able to generate some points. And if both of those pitchers do happen to, be on the same course that they've been on, as far as, hits wise and giving up home runs, I think we can see this fly over. So maybe in the first 5 over as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that as well. Moving on to the next matchup, you have the Guardians taking on the Tigers. Tigers had a nice win today. Skubal continues to deal. Unfortunately, though, Skubal will not be pitching back-to-back days, so you have to look at who is pitching. You have Flaherty, who's been pretty good so far this season, 5-5 with a 3.24 ERA. You have Gavin Williams pitching for Cleveland, who has not pitched much this season, and he's not been very good. 0-1 with an 11.25 ERA. Cleveland, though, is favored, -145. The Tigers are +125, mainly because of the Guardians' superior record and how they've been one of the best teams in the league. Pretty funny, though, because they sent down Logan Allen earlier today. So they have demoted a couple of starters over the last week, and they have one of the best records in the league, which I find kind of funny. But the point is Logan Allen did get sent down, rightfully so. He had a good record, but it was purely because of run support. He's not a good pitcher at all, as far as I'm concerned. For this one, though, I think I have to take Flaherty. I think that Detroit first 5 is definitely worth consideration. Flaherty has been good. I've had issues with him in the past because I think his command can be pretty inconsistent, and I do think he walks a lot of guys. This year, not so much. He's worked on it. That was an issue he had with the Cardinals for the last couple of years. He walked a ton of guys. This year, that has not been a concern, as he's walked 25 guys he's walked 14 guys in 89 innings, and he has given up 13 home runs. So the home runs have been a concern for Flaherty. But I do think that he can pitch well in this one. Did not pitch well last time out, but that was on the road against the Angels to go through his actual home road splits. He actually has been worse at home than on the road, but I do think he can pitch well in this one. Flaherty, though, is definitely better than Williams. Flaherty also made one start against Cleveland this season, 6 innings, 2 runs, so he has pitched pretty well against this team already this year. Williams, though, I can't trust, and Detroit's offense was awful for about a month. Recently, they've been a little bit better. I'm not saying that they've been lighting it up, but they have scored 5+ in 3 straight. They ended up sweeping the Reds, so I actually don't mind the current form. I'm going to link to the Tigers' first 5. I still trust the Cleveland bullpen a lot more than Detroit's bullpen, so I'm going to ignore it. Give me the Tigers' first 5. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be on the other side, just leaning that way though. I'd much rather have the over. But before, I was going to ask you. I mean, Cleveland obviously needs some arms. You think Crochet would be a good fit for them?
See, the issue with Cleveland is they don't have a history of paying people, so I have to actually think if they'd be willing to lock up a Crochet long term.
Yeah,
I know typically there tends to be a little bit of I'd say a slight. I'm trying to think of, I'd say, bias against trading players to your own division.
Yeah.
There's kind of a bias that prevents teams from doing that. The White Sox, I don't think care because
that's what I was about to say. Yeah, I don't think they care.
Like most of the time, there's a little bit of I'm trying to think of the right term, but I can't think of it. There's a specific, I'd say, negative,
like buyer's remorse.
Stigma. I'll go stigma. Okay. Stigma is the word I'm looking for. There's a stigma which usually involves it's frowned upon to trade with division rivals.
Yeah.
But if your team's that far in the basement,
exactly,
I don't think it matters. And the White Sox have made several trades over the years with the Cubs. So I feel like if you get the right deal, you shouldn't automatically dismiss it. I think Cleveland would make a lot of sense if they wanted to make a case for Crochet. The question is, do you think they'd be willing to pay him a bunch of money?
Yeah, I mean, probably not. But I mean, they got to get some arms. I mean, and then on the opposite end, they're probably going in saying, okay, we've been, patching it together and we got this good of a record, mostly because of our offense. So we're basically, depending on our offense to carry us. But we all know, the pitching matters a little bit more when you get into, September or August and September. So I think they got to do something to sure they don't want to let this go by. I mean, it's wide open right now. I mean, it's really no dominant team. I mean, we saw, the Phillies had a bad weekend. The Dodgers up and down. They got their own pitching struggles.
Even in the AL, the Yankees have been a mess. The Orioles lost the series to Oakland.
Yeah, so you never know.
They didn't lose the series to Oakland. Sorry, they. I'm trying to remember. They won the first game, I think, but they gave up 19 runs yesterday.
Right. So, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of up. So I would think that this would be the year you want to put your chips in front. I mean, especially with this offense that you have. But yeah, they got to get some arms though, regardless of whether they want to pay them long term or not. They got to bring in maybe a rental or something. They got to get some arms in because, like, they just sent Allen down, so you're going to be relying on some young guys to come in and produce in a highly.
Well, the guy who's pitching in this one, Gavin Williams, who's not been very good.
Right, yeah, and he's recovering from an elbow injury. So I mean, how healthy is he? He had a bad debut. 5 earned runs on 7 hits. So I mean, that just goes to show you they got to get some arms in there. But I'm leaning to the over just because of the uncertainty with Gavin Williams and how he's basically pitching himself back into form. And he didn't have a good outing in his debut, like you mentioned. And Flaherty, so he's been skipped twice in a rotation. He hasn't pitched since June 27th. I was reading he was receiving pain-killing injections in his back.
Yeah, so, that's not a good sign for the trade market as well. Right, he's been linked to some teams. But
right, so I'm really not like too fond of backing either pitcher. So I'll just go over. Maybe we get some runs here. Flaherty has allowed 4 home runs in his last 2 starts, 6 earned runs on 7 hits in that span as well. So I'm gonna go with the over. I know Detroit's offense is not like it's not good at all. I mean,
they've been better lately, though.
Yeah,
5 runs in 3 straight.
Yeah, they have. But I'm banking on Gavin Williams being a bit erratic and them kind of getting some runs on the board. I'm not worried about Cleveland. I think Cleveland will be able to score as long as they can get to 4 or 5. I think we should be good to go over this number.
Yeah. By the way, talking about Cleveland guys they can acquire at the deadline, can I interest you in the return of Cal Quantrill? It makes sense. It makes sense if you want to talk about it. I mean, it would make sense, but I'm trying to think of which teams are like fully out of it that would actually be dumping players, and Colorado's obviously one of them. Quantrill makes sense if you want to make that
Kikuchi,
argument.
maybe you think Kikuchi? You think they'd be interested in Kikuchi?
I don't know if Toronto's ever actually willing to admit they suck.
They better get to it. I mean, I don't know what they're doing right now, but they got to do something.
I mean, you mentioned Kikuchi. I'd be more interested in like Bassett or somebody, but
I mean, that's fine.
If I had to pick, but I'm trying to think of who Cleveland could target. Quantrill just came from Cleveland to Colorado, so it actually would make sense if he would go back. I mean, the issue is there's so many weak teams that are in the wild card race in the National League. So a lot of these teams that would have been potentially trading pieces have not been trading because they have a shot at the wild card. So you can make case for like the Cubs, but the Cubs in theory are not fully out of it. Like, do you think the Angels would trade Tyler Anderson?
Yeah, maybe? I do. I mean, I do think they would.
Like that could be an option if you want to talk about.
I like Tyler Anderson. I like Tyler Anderson as well. He's good.
It was great yesterday. It somehow struck out 10 guys in a game. But
he's good.
I'm trying to think of other options because the White Sox are out of it. The Rockies are out of it.
What about
probably out of it?
What is Blackburn's? Is he done? Like for the
honestly, I've had a hard time fully gauging pitchers that have been dealing with injuries for the last couple months because you don't know what the risk is going to be when you try to acquire him. So Blackburn would be an option. I mean, Spence has fallen off a cliff. Oakland doesn't have any pitchers I really care about that much besides Blackburn, who's injured. So, once again, there's not enough teams that are fully out of it in the National League, and that eliminates some trade potential sellers at the deadline. But Quantrill could be an option for Cleveland. Maybe Anderson. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like Anderson. Yeah.
Maybe Soriano if they want to trade him as well. So you make a case for a couple guys. But either way, point is for this one, I'm going to lean to the first 5. You're right about Flaherty, though. He's not pitched that much. He's had some pain-killing injections, which is not ideal. But I think maybe the under and outs for Flaherty makes sense. He's probably going to be stopping at 5 no matter what. So
or both. I would take under in both.
Yeah. Before we get into any of the other games left on the card, do want to remind you once again, we're brought to you by Monarch Fantasy because the Pick 8 is live and you can create entries with 8 picks. And Monarch automatically double flex your entry, so miss 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement's higher than ever. Plus, the best part, you can now win up to 325 times original amount. You can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. You can now use, once again, a lot of extra options on your Pick 8 entries. I'm going to keep doing WNBA. I'm going to keep taking Angel Reese higher rebounds. 10.5 today? Yeah, let's have some fun against the Storm later today. Give me the higher on Angel Reese rebounds in part of my entry. Don't miss out on your chance before it's gone. Also, a reminder to sign up with the promo code SGPN or MLB SGPN. Claim a special pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $2 bonus cash on a fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions, pick 5 NFL teams ATS each week and compete for $6 million or survive the NFL Gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Don't have a trip planned yet for Las Vegas before football. Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go. Hang out with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the world's best sports book from August 22nd to August 24th. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished covering I'd say about first half of the games for the Monday card. Let's keep it rolling, though. Just finished going through the Guardians and the Tigers game. Now it's time to get into the Rockies game against the Reds. For this one, you have a pitching matchup between Hudson and Abbott. The Reds are minus 195, and the Rockies are plus 165. Hudson has been really bad. He's 2-12, and he has a 5.84 ERA. Abbott has been pretty good so far this season. My question for you, though, I'm looking at ESPN right now. It has Hudson as the listed pitcher, but I click on Hudson's actual bio, and he has no team listed. So did they get rid of him?
Oh, I don't know. I got Feltner going for Colorado because they scratched him today, and I think they moved his start to tomorrow. But I mean, all this is just speculation, I guess.
I'm trying to pull up RotoWire because ESPN might have an out-of-date pitcher. Yeah. He got DFA'd. So, he will not be pitching in this game. Apparently, it's going to be Feltner. So, there we go. ESPN, you might want to adjust your starting pitchers. So, Feltner might be getting the start. He has not been good either. But you are looking at Abbott being good. The problem is you just got swept at home by the Tigers. Do you want to lay 195?
I do not. But I'll take a bigger bang for my buck and go run line for like a half unit. But I like the team total to go over more so than anything.
You mean the Reds, right?
The Reds, yeah, I'm sorry, the Reds, yeah. So they swept Colorado last month, outscored them 29-11. So the offense was pretty good. Obviously, that was in Coors, so we know what goes down there. Well, they didn't have Coors has been a little bit overvalued this year. The ball's not been flying as much as it has been in the past. So I think all three of those games are gonna go under against the Royals. Are they playing the Royals, right?
Yes. The Royals, though, did score a bunch of runs in the 9th inning, so that game ended up landing 10-1.
Oh, okay. So that barely squeaked over.
I actually don't know what the total was in that game.
It was 10.5. I had 10.5, but
they combined for 4 runs in the first 6. Then they ended up having a casual 7 runs in the final 3 innings.
Wow, of course.
So
but I mean, I just think overall, but still 2 of the 3 went under, and I think significantly under. I think they only scored like 4 runs in the second game and maybe like 5 in the first game. So I think I trust.
It was 6 in the first game, but it flew under.
Yeah, so I like Cincinnati's team total to go over. They've won 8 of the last 10 meetings, 7 of those by 2+ runs. Both teams are really struggling offensively. You mentioned with Cincinnati, you're going against the Cincinnati going against Detroit getting swept. But I mean, pretty much a fade of Feltner and a play on Abbott. Feltner 4+ earned runs, 3 of his last 4. He's coming off a gym versus Milwaukee, which I was on Milwaukee. Ironically, he pitched 5 innings, only gave up 1. 8 earned runs, 10 hits versus Cincinnati on June 3rd. So familiarity's there. Abbott's had a good June. Didn't allow over 3 earned runs all month. Followed it up with 3 earned runs in Colorado on June 3rd. He started July strong, 1 earned run on 6 1/3. He does have some walk issues though, 10 walks in his last 2 starts, and some home run issues that he needs to cut down on. But with this, putrid offense of Colorado, I don't think you have to worry about anything. So I'm going Cincinnati team total over, and I'll let it run 1.5.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I forgot to mention, by the way, the total in this game is around 9.5 or 9. So it's a somewhat realistic total there based on the Rockies offensively on the road. I think Abbott will pitch pretty well, and the Rockies we know can't hit. So yeah, I'll go with the under. I'll lean that way, but I do like the Reds on the run line as well. Moving on to the next game, you have the Twins taking on the White Sox. For this one, you have no listed pitcher for the Twins, but they are still laying 190. Tells you how bad the White Sox are. And you have Flexen pitching for Chicago, 2-7 with a 5.08 ERA. Over-under is set at around 9 in this matchup. We saw Minnesota win the last 2 games against the Astros with the walk-off home run on Sunday by Vasquez. Minnesota, though, has been solid, and we know the White Sox have been really bad. Flexen, to go through the last couple starts, he has given up at least 3 runs in 3 of his last 4. So he does give up contact, and the White Sox have been really bad whenever he's pitched. The White Sox have actually lost each of his last, you want to guess? They've lost
7?
Each of his last blank starts.
7.
So it was 7 at one point. So I can give you half credit, but no. The answer is 10.
Damn.
They've lost 10 straight starts that Flexen has made. He's not gotten a loss in all of them, so some of it's bad bullpens, but the point is he has been not very good. And I do think that the numbers speak for themselves. So far this season, the White Sox have won a grand total of 2 starts that Flexen has made this season. For reference, Flexen has made a total of 18 starts. So they are currently 2-16 in his starts this season. 2-16. That is not very good. Yeah, I'll go with the other team. Give me the Twins. I think that offensively they've been picking it up recently. They benched Miranda today to give him some rest. He had a pinch hit single anyway. Should be back in the lineup in this game. Maybe he'll go 4 for 4 again. But give me the Twins -1.5.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. Twins are pretty much owned. I mean, everybody's on the White Sox, but they swept them in May. At their place, they 2 of the 3 games were by 1 run though, so competitive, but still got swept. They also swept them in April in Minnesota. 2 of the 4 games were close games, but I mean overall they've won 9 of 10 versus the White Sox. 6 of those have been by 2+ runs. I think we get some value getting all 9 at bats here. The thing that I'm worried about is maybe Minnesota's in a bit of a letdown spot and they don't like come out with it at first because that was a big series against the Astros. I thought they played well. They are just hitting the ball, like hitting the cover off the ball. 11 hits per game in the last 10, over 300 in the last 10 as well. So I trust the offense. Obviously, it just depends on who's pitching as far as where the number goes. But I'll lay the 1.5. I think we're getting some value there at is it at plus money?
Let me quickly check. I'm not sure if they actually posted the run line yet, but I'm gonna have to check because there's no listed pitcher.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be
minus 110.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I'll take the 110. I think they bury the White Sox.
I think they should. Moving on to the next game, you have the Rangers taking on the Angels. The Rangers dominated on Sunday, scoring about 13 runs against the Rays, while the Angels got shut out. So definitely a tale of 2 different types of games on Sunday. For this one, though, you have the Rangers at minus 140. You have the Angels at plus 120. The over-under is set for this one at 9 or 8.5. You have Gray pitching against Daniel. For this one, to mention Gray's recent outings, I know the length has not really been there for Gray. He has gone less than 5 1/3 just pulling this up, in a lot of outings recently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of his last 7. He's gone less than 5 1/3. Last 2 starts in 9 innings, 11 earned runs, so not ideal either. Gray, for the most part, has been fine. He's just had a couple of really bad outings that have ballooned his entire ERA up, and it's still at 3.92. So I think Gray's been okay, but there has been no length from him recently. Daniel's not pitched much this season, but he's been fine. I think I am going to back Texas, though. The Angels, I think, objectively are a horrible team, and we saw them get swept by Oakland. They won 1 game because Anderson pitched a gem against Chicago. They got shut out today. They can't really hit. The Rangers have won 3 straight, swept the Rays, ended up winning 5 of their last 7. Give me the Rangers. I just think this team's in better form. I'll take Texas.
Yeah, I like Texas as well. I thought they were going to have a good series against the Rays. Made a decent amount of money on that, and I think they'll continue here. So give me Texas on the run line. They've been hitting the ball really well, over 260 last 10 on 9.1 hits. Both of these actual bullpens have been better than their starters in the last 10. The Angels bullpen 1.92 ERA, Texas 2.93. So maybe go first 5 with Texas. This also is a step down in competition as far as offense for John Gray. I mean, just his last 5 starts. I mean, he's had San Diego, Baltimore, Kansas City, Mets, and the Dodgers. And still, he's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 4 of his last 6 road starts. So I think it's a step down in offense, obviously, with the Angels. I think we see Texas continue their hot streak. Maybe they don't put up 13 like they did today, but I think they'll get all 9 at bats. So I like the minus 1.5 for Texas.
Yep, and for the last one, you have the Braves taking on the Diamondbacks. For this one, the Braves are minus 210 on the money line. The Diamondbacks are plus 175. For the actual over-under, you have 8.5. You have Sale pitching against Diaz. Diaz, the relative unknown, it's Yilber Diaz, who I believe has never pitched in the majors before. I want to quickly pull up his actual minor league numbers. With Arizona, you have no idea because half the rotation died. So I actually don't know if he's any good or not. So I have to see if he's worthy being called up. 4-8, 4.08 ERA, or 4.03 ERA in 15 starts in the minors this season. So once again, average numbers in AAA, nothing substantial. Braves, though, have been very good over the last couple of days, and Sale's been very solid. Diamondbacks, though, have been hitting the ball well. I know it's currently 1-1 in the 6th inning, but the Diamondbacks entering today had scored at least 5 runs in 6 straight. So they had been playing good offense, and they had been 1 under 500, so maybe they'll actually get back to 500 with a win today. I can't take Arizona, though. They're using a relative unknown. I don't know what the length is going to be, but he has not been very good in the minors, and the bullpen's been a mess for Arizona. So I'll go with Sale and the Braves, who've been in good form. Give me the Braves minus 1.5.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that this weekend was a confidence builder for the Braves, obviously beating up on the Phillies and getting a little bit closer. How many games are they back? Do you have that off the top of your head?
Not on top of my head, but I can pull it up right now. So going through the actual standings quickly, trying to find it. So, of course, Philly's still in first place by a decent amount, but the Braves have cut the deficit to 8.
Okay. Well, I guess I thought it was a little bit closer than that. But regardless, I think the Braves are the class here. Diamondbacks starters have been, the ERA is like over 7. I think the bats woke up a little bit for the Braves this weekend. Now, can they carry that on? I mean, that's to be determined. But, with the numbers that you just read off against a rookie pitcher, I don't think I think they'll be fine. So I like the Braves team total to go over. Maybe some sales strikeouts going over as well.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Quickly pulling up what the run line price actually is for Atlanta in this one. I see the run line being set at around minus 125.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I don't know if that intrigues you or not, but that's the price on
that's
sale
about right.
with the run line. All right, that's going to wrap it up for all the games on Monday. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks and the home run picks at the end of the show. Lonte's been on fire. Ended up hitting O'Hoppe last week and ended up hitting Pescatino a day ago or so. So nice job by him. Still looking for my first. I'm working on it. But either way, pointless before getting into any of the actual lock and dog picks. Do want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by Rhythm, because if you are looking to bet on player props, you need to get Rhythm, because Rhythm's a go-to sports betting tool that transports complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easier and more enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data to help drive you better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm also has great projections for WNBA and for golf. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportscamppockets.com. So it's Rhythm, sportscamppockets.com/RATHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished going through all the games for Monday. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, since you swept the last episode, I'll let you go first. What are your lock and dog picks for Monday's games?
All right, so I wanted to go with Pittsburgh first 5. I don't see a line for it right now, so I'll go full game. Still anything under minus 120. I think it's at minus 115 right now. I just prefer Keller over Scott. I know the offense for Pittsburgh has been pretty bad, but
I see minus 108 if you want it.
Oh yeah, that's even better. Yeah, so I'll take that as well. Keller's been really good at home. He's going deep into games, so you don't have to rely solely on the bullpen to kind of push you home. The Mets have been comeback kings, so to say, as we saw today. So kind of scares me a little bit, which is why I like the first 5 a little bit better. But if you look at the bullpen's last 10, the Mets ERA 7.02, Pittsburgh 1.89. So Pittsburgh's better for him as of late. But again, we saw it get away from him today. So I don't want to let that cloud me. I'll go with Pittsburgh Pirates minus 108 as the lock. I really like the first 5 better. So if you find that, it should be like minus 115, minus 120, depending on what book you're looking at once they post that. But yeah, I like Pittsburgh a lot tomorrow. For the dog, let's go to Cincinnati. Is it minus 1.5? Is that plus money on the Cincinnati?
Let me quickly check. Since it should be plus money because they're at home. Yeah, it's plus 120.
Yeah, so I'm going Cincinnati against Colorado. Like I said, they've had success against this team. Feltner, don't trust them. I think they can put up 4 or 5 in the first 5 innings, or as long as they keep Feltner out there. Abbott's been really good. I trust him to get the job done. He's had some success against them. He just needs to cut down on the walks and the home runs, and I don't think he has to worry about that with the Colorado, hitting under 210 in their last 10. So I like the Cincinnati Reds team total over, and as well as the run line minus 1.5 at the plus money.
All right. So for my lock, I think I am actually going to go with an undecided team undecided pitcher on the run line. Give me Minnesota minus 1.5 at around minus 110. Minnesota's been in great form recently, especially offensively. We saw them win 2 out of 3 against Houston. But looking at the actual numbers offensively for Minnesota, just to read off the actual runs scored, they scored 4 today, which is not. They scored 3 today, which is not great. Games before that, though, scored 9 against Houston on Saturday, scored 12 against Houston on Friday, 12 against Detroit the previous game. They've been solid. They've scored 5+ runs in. Sorry, just pulling this up. 1, 2, 3, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6 of their last 8 games. So I like the form they're in. You mentioned that they've been very good against the White Sox. They're actually undefeated so far this season. They are 7-0 against the White Sox. One common theme: they have scored at least 6 runs in 6 of those 7 games. Flexen's been underwhelming. His overall ERA is okay, but the White Sox never win his starts. I mentioned before that, his ERA is above 5. He has been a bit better recently, but the White Sox have won a grand total of 2 starts that he's made this season, and he has made 18 starts. So that does mean the White Sox are 2-16 in his games. Good enough for me. Give me Minnesota -1.5 at -110 as my lock. For my dog, I'm trying to think if I actually liked many dogs on the card. What do I want to go with for this one? You know what? I think I am going to go for it. Give me the Tigers first 5 on the money line in this one. I'm going to fade Williams. I know that we mentioned before that Flaherty's not exactly been healthy, but Williams has really not pitched much of the season. He also has not been very good. He came back from injury, and he's been underwhelming. Detroit, we saw just sweep the Reds, so at least this team offensively woke up for a couple days in a row. We'll see if that carries over. Not going to take the full game because I don't trust Flaherty to go length, and I don't like this Tigers bullpen. But for 5, I think the Tigers can score a couple off Williams. I think that they can get enough zeros from Flaherty to get the job done. Give me the Tigers first 5 money line. Don't have a price on it, but it should be probably somewhere in the 1-teens or very low 120s. And now, Lonte, time to see if you can keep it running. We got the home run picks. What's going to be your home run pick for Monday?
All right, so we're going to stick in Cincinnati. We're going to go with Spencer Steer to hit one. He's hit 1 in 3 of his last 4. Didn't go yard today against Detroit, but he has been hitting the ball well. He's had hits in 4 straight games in 5 of his last 6. We mentioned the struggles that Feltner has had. So what more to keep the momentum going than get a pitcher who's pretty much batting practice and get Spencer Steer to hit the ball out of the park. I think he might. I would maybe go 2 home runs for Spencer Steer to spice it up a little bit, but just for the pick's sake, we'll go Spencer Steer as the home run pick for today's show.
All right, of course, so we don't have odds on home run hitters yet, so just keep that in mind. You can shop around for it, and if I remember for the next episode, if it wins, I'll mention it, and if not, then we're going to forget about it. But point is, for mine, I got to think of who I want to go with, because I think there's a decent amount of options, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Do I want to go with somebody on Minnesota? I don't know if I do, because I want to take Miranda to do something, but I'd rather take him to get 2 hits, because I don't think he's much of a home run hitter. Let me just quickly see Davis Daniels' stats here. He gave up 2 home runs last start. Okay, I don't mind it. Give me Corey Seager.
Oh, yeah.
Go yard.
Good pick.
I think that Seager's in line for a good matchup. He had a home run today. I know they pulled him, but I think that was because they were up by about 40. So I don't think he got injured. I just think they decided that it was time to rest him. But Seager, I think, should perform well. Daniel gave up 2 home runs last start, and he doesn't strike out many guys. He struck out 8 in the first outing against Detroit, but he struck out 3 against the A's in his last outing. I think that'll struggle here, but it's mostly Seager being in good form. He was on a hit streak before, had a monster Sunday. I think keeps it rolling. Give me Corey Seager as my home run pick for Monday. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. You can find him on Twitter at Lonte, at XXLonteXX. I don't know who's going to be on the show tomorrow, so I can't tell you who it's going to be, but I'm sure the show will be good. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.